Okay, well, this is a bit unusual for me to speak in my office to a blank screen, but I certainly hope there are some people out there who are interested in figuring out how to eat well during exam period. So I was asked to just sort of put together some ideas and some thoughts around, what some key tips to think about when you're trying to feed your brain for exam period and why that's really important. And so the bottom line is, I think, really important to understand, why would you even care? Why do you care about what you're putting in your mouth? Isn't it just okay to eat donuts and drink coffee and high energy drinks and high carb types of foods, ultra processed foods, and think that that's going to be a sustainable way to get through the exam period? And so I would say that's probably not the ideal diet for trying to do well and to make sure that you can sustain yourself all the way through this next period of few weeks of time. And the reason for that is that for your brain in particular, you need to be consuming high doses of vitamins and minerals, what I call micronutrients. And the reason for that is that they are essential for everything that's going on in your body, and in your brain. So if you think about those important neurotransmitters that we know are important for regulation of your mood or paying attention, concentrating, help regulate your sleep, those are so important all the way through this time period. You need vitamins and minerals. And I'll even just show you a quick diagram of that so that you can understand about how important, and let's just see if we can do that. Ooh, there we go. Pretty, I mean, what you want to just be able to, you probably can't, what you can see is a bunch of arrows. So it's probably not the most useful thing, but the arrows are just showing you that you go from chemical A to chemical B. And for each of those pathways here, you need these vitamins and minerals, and they are going to act as enzymes or help the enzymes and act as cofactors to help that chemical reaction to occur. And if they're not available, then you're going to have sluggish and slow metabolism. And that's not ideal for an exam situation or when you're under high stress. And the other thing that happens when you're under high stress is that you end up having to make, you need to sort of support that stress response, which requires you to make a lot of adrenaline or and other important chemicals. And those pathways, again, need those vitamins and minerals. And if you are depleted in vitamins and minerals because of eating really poor quality foods or that are high in ultra processed foods, then you're not going to get those vitamins and minerals for the rest of your body. So for all the other functions, like your concentration and your regulation of anxiety and things like that. So what foods do have these vitamins and minerals? And you can probably guess it, that's not rocket science. It's going to be your real whole foods. So that's things like all your fresh fruit and vegetables, your nuts, your legumes. I always have a packet of nuts. Here we go. A packet of nuts right beside me in my office. I have that. I also have these are actually quite these snack balls. Sorry, this is just, you get to see what's on my desk, happen to be there. But they're just really dense. They've got nuts, they've got coconut. They are providing you with not only those micronutrients, but also a really good source of protein. So those are good go-to snack types of foods to choose, or carrots with hummus. I'm just sort of planning ahead and thinking about those foods, because when you're in that moment where you get really, really hungry, then you tend to reach for more high carb foods, or you go for a chocolate bar, or something like a donut or a muffin, which are really low, much lower in those vitamins and minerals, and they give you carbs which don't last as long and they're not as sustainable. So that's why, in terms of keeping you going for a long period of time, so that's why I would choose some of those fruits and the things that are higher in those vitamins and minerals, like the carrots or celery sticks or hummus, chickpeas, high good source of protein, lots of vitamins and minerals in there as well. So those are some good things to think about in terms of feeding the brain. In terms of just one of the things that you need to be planning ahead is your meals, and thinking deeply about those meals, and making sure, again, that you don't reach for something that's not going to be sustainable. Having some fruit and vegetables at hand. So I'm just thinking about what I've got in my bag right now. I've got an apple in there, a banana. So those are some things that you can be carrying around with you, easy to eat, easy to transport, and available when you start to get hungry if you're in the library or whatever. I would really try hard to be eating a little bit of fish if you can, if you aren't vegetarian or vegan. Really good source of the good fats, omega-3s. So that's a great place, sort of something to think about around some food choices. Or eggs are a great source of protein and nutrients. And also just making sure that you're using lots of spices and herbs, because they are just remarkable around what they can do for you, and some of the healthful qualities associated with just your spices and your herbs, like your turmeric, for example. So another, sort of quick tip would be that you could think about adding in a B vitamin complex. There's a lot of research that we've done since the earthquakes looking at adding in B vitamins. So that's something like your Baraka. I'm just looking to see, I might even have one. I don't on my desk. I can't see it. That doesn't mean it's not here. It's just messy. Baraka or your Blackmore's B vitamin complex. So you can get those in a supermarket. If you don't like the Baraka, does have aspartame in it. If you get it as the capsule, the effervescent one that you put in a drink and then you drink it, but you can buy them in capsule form. You might have to go to a pharmacy in order to get that. But the B vitamin, the Blackmores, would be available as just a capsule that you swallow. And we know that those are really essential in supporting those neurochemical pathways that are involved in the stress response. And so those would be a really good, quick fix to help you through a stressful time. What else to say? Other things to just be mindful of. If in the big picture, maybe not just over the next few weeks, but just to be mindful of how can you incorporate more fresh, more of these healthy foods into your diet. Don't think that frozen or canned is bad. They're actually a good option. Because your peas are going to be harvested and then immediately frozen, and so you're getting them at their peak of their nutrient value. So those are a really good option. I would be, if you're on a budget, thinking about how do you start cooking with things that are really high nutrient value but also high in protein, would be things like your black beans or your lentils. Those are really, really good sources of those nutrients and can be a really cheap option if you're obviously considering the budget. Cooking a lot of food and then freezing it is another way of making sure that you can get a lot of your dollars will go a lot further if you're sort of thinking those things forward around how to feed yourself. I would be trying to get a minimum of your 5 a day. But many recommend that you should be going up to 8 a day in your fruit and vegetables. So just be mindful of how important it is to eat those. Make sure that they're part of your daily consumption of foods, and just reducing your consumption of the energy drinks. They've gotten really, unless some of them might be for added B vitamins, and they just do that for marketing purposes, but it won't be at the same level as what you get out of your real food. So just be mindful of the high quantity of sugar that is contained in those foods. And again, that sugar, we're drawn to sugar for good evolutionary reasons, but we have far too much of it available to us these days. And so you can end up consuming a lot of sugar without even knowing about it, because sugar is added to so many of the ultra processed foods. So just being really careful about not consuming a lot of those types of ultra processed foods, in order to not only make sure that you choose other foods that are going to be high in vitamins and minerals, but also it's going to be a way of getting rid of sugar without even having to work on it. Other things to be mindful of in the big picture is to start thinking about, well, where can I get these fruits and vegetables? You make sure that you're eating them because sometimes they can be expensive, but always eat in season. So right now, asparagus is really cheap, and so that's something that's a good option and so easy, so easy to cook. You could be looking at there's a lot of community gardens that are popping up all over Canterbury and in Christchurch. There's one right here at the University of Canterbury. So you can go and track that down. It's just just maybe have a look for it, but it's just in behind the engineering building. But that's not a very good description of it, but there's just like a wee little pathway, and then you'll come across this amazing spot. Even if it's a great place to go for 5 minutes or 10 minutes of a break. We know how important it is to get out in nature and how calming that kind of effect is. So not only will you benefit from that, just being in a natural environment and the benefits of that, but you can also learn more about the community garden that's available there. But they do have them in lots of different communities. So just sort of even just have a search on Google, and I'm sure you can come across those. So overall, I guess my message is, because I think I'm out of time, my message is to do that shift from reducing your intake of ultra processed foods and trying to be mindful of eating more whole real foods, and try a B complex if during a particularly stressful time can be really beneficial and very quick, a quick acting. Okay, that's it. Oh, excellent. Okay, so there's going to be a free UC Wellbeing will be dropping off free fruit and healthy snacks on campus today from 1 p.m. Awesome.